There is also a good use case for using beforeEach hook inside timeline items test file. So here inside the last two tests, as we can see, we are defining an array of timeline item objects, and this array is the same inside the first and the second tests of this describe block. But we cannot just simply extract this array of timeline item objects and move it inside the describe block, because this array is mutated inside the first test. So it is going to affect second test execution, since we're gonna use the same shared array of timeline item objects for both tests. Alright, before using beforeEach hook to reset timeline items array before every test execution, let's firstly check if we're going to get an error if we're simply going to move declaration of timeline items array inside describe block. Let's remove this declaration from the first test and take a look at the terminal to see if we're gonna get any errors. And sure enough, we're getting expected error in the last test, because the first test executes reset timeline item activities function, which mutates original timeline items array that we have just extracted into the describe block. So to avoid this side effect, we have to reset timeline items array before we execute each test. I'm going to copy over usage of beforeEach hook from the activities test. And now we basically have to move declaration of timeline items array inside this closure of beforeEach hook. So since the closure will be executed more than once, we cannot use constant because we're assigning value to this variable twice. I'm gonna use let instead of a const to declare this variable and remove constant keyword from here. We are expecting it to execute twice because we have two tests inside this describe block. And sure enough, in the terminal, we are about to see two outputs of beforeEach words. And now all tests are passing. Let's remove this console log statement and move declarations of other constants to the top to group them together with the declaration of the timeline items array. And at the end we've got one beforeEach inside the describe block, which means the logic in the beforeEach is going to get executed once before every test in this describe block. And this is how we are resetting values of objects from timeline items array to avoid any side effects caused by some tests. So all tests from this file are passing, as well as all tests in the project. Link to the source code of this lesson will be in the video description.